Come here, sweetheart.
Hi, James.
There you are.
I miss this.
Me too.
I'm home.
Hey, welcome back.
Hi. Hi. Hi, James. I'm going home.
Hello, sweetie. You're home.
I've been practicing.
Let me hear it.
I've been practicing.
Let me hear it.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Well, the aggressive one? The aggressive one?
That's the one. You look so happy now.
Yes, everything feels perfect with her here. You are Enhi, you are my daughter, your favorite color is yellow, and you still can't whistle properly. You, he says, are Ninhi. You are my daughter, your favorite color is yellow, and you still can't whistle properly.
Hello, everyone. There is a moment I want to tell you about. It was a Wednesday afternoon. James was in his chair. The Remember book was on the side table where it always is now, and Nai came home from school, dropped her backpack at the door, walked straight over to her father, and climbed into his lap like she was 6 years old again. She is 8 now. She just looked at him for a moment. Then she said, "Dad, do you know who I am today?" And what he said back. I have thought about it every single day since. If you have ever wondered whether love is enough to hold a family together when everything else is falling apart, stay with me. Let's find out together. Now, Nai has a ritual. She started it quietly. The way she starts most things. No announcement, no explanation. Tu Diep noticed it about 3 weeks after the Remember book was finished. Every day when Ni comes home from school, before she does anything else, before she drops her backpack, before she asks what's for dinner, before she goes to find Button, she goes to wherever James is. And she just checks in. Not in a worried way, not in the way a child checks on something broken, in the way you check on someone you love. She'll put her hand on his arm, say something small, see how he responds, and then she goes about her afternoon. Tu Diep watched this for 3 days before she said anything. When did you start doing that? She asked one evening. Nai shrugged. A while ago. Why? Nai thought about it. Because I want him to know I'm home, and I want to know where he is. She paused. In his head. I mean. Tu Diep looked at her daughter for a long moment. That is a very grown-up thing to do, she said. Nai picked up her fork. It's not that grown-up. It's just paying attention. She said it so simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. And maybe it was. So that Wednesday afternoon, Nai comes through the door, drops her backpack, walks to the living room. James is in his chair. He is looking at the window. The bird feeder is busy. It always is this time of year. Nye climbs into his lap. She is 8, and she is getting tall, and she does not quite fit the way she used to. But she tucks herself in anyway, and James shifts to make room the way he always has. She looks at him. "Dad," she says, "do you know who I am today?" James looks at her, and he smiles. "Yukum," he says, "Arnie, you are my daughter. Your favorite color is yellow, and you still can't whistle properly." Newell grins. "I've been practicing." "Let me hear it." She whistles. It is slightly better than before. Slightly improving, James says seriously. "I know." She settles deeper into his lap. "Good day today?" "Pretty good." The blue jay was back. The aggressive one. "That's the one." He needs to learn some manners. I've been telling him that all morning. Nee laughs. James laughs. And from the kitchen doorway, Tu Diep stands very still. She does not go in. She does not want to interrupt a single second of it. She just stands there and lets herself have this ordinary, unremarkable, completely ordinary Wednesday afternoon moment. The blue jay outside. Her daughter in her husband's lap. Both of them laughing about bird manners like nothing in the world is wrong. She closes her eyes for just a moment. Then she opens them and files it away carefully, right next to all the others. Here's what I learned watching Nye those weeks. Paying attention is a form of love. It does not require big gestures. It does not require the right words or the perfect moment. It just requires showing up every single day and checking in, putting your hand on someone's arm, making sure they know you are home, making sure they know, I see you. I am here. That is all. I figured that out at 8 years old. Most of us take a lifetime. The following Saturday, Margaret comes for her monthly visit. She and Tu Diep have developed their own rhythm now. Margaret arrives, helps with lunch, sits with James in the afternoon, then after dinner. When James is resting and Nye is in her room, the two of them sit at the kitchen, table together, just the two of them. Two women who love the same man in completely different ways. This evening, Margaret is quieter than usual. Tu Diep notices but waits. She has learned, with Margaret, that you do not push. You just leave the door open and let the other person walk through when they are ready. They drink their tea outside. The neighborhood settles into Saturday evening. Then Margaret says, "I owe you an apology." Tu Diep looks up. "When James first told me," Margaret says carefully, "my first thought was not about you or about Nye." She wraps both hands around her mug. "My first thought was, how do I protect my son? How do I make sure he is not alone in this?" "That makes sense," Tu Diep says. He is your son. Yes, but you are his wife. And I kept things from you. I let him keep things from you. She shakes her head slightly. I told myself I was respecting his wishes. But the truth is, I was scared. And scared people make selfish choices sometimes. Tu Diep is quiet for a moment. She thinks about her own mother, about Hate, about all the years of scared, selfish choices that kept two people apart for 2 decades. She thinks about how far she has come from that yellow door. Margaret, she says, while you have shown up every single month without fail, you refilled the bird feeder without being asked. You bring the tea he likes. You sit with him in the afternoon so I can have 1 hour to just breathe. She pauses. You are here. That matters more than the rest of it. Margaret looks at her across the table. Her eyes are bright. You are remarkably easy to love, she says. Do you know that? Tu Diep laughs, a real one, surprised out of her. James says the same thing. He is right. Margaret sets down her mug. He has always had very good judgment, except about telling people important things on time. That, Margaret agrees, he gets from his father. They both laugh, and the kitchen feels warm in the way kitchens do when the people inside them have finally stopped pretending and just decided to be honest with each other. No more careful words, no more managed distances, just 2 women, 1 table, 1 cup of tea each, and an understanding that did not need to be spoken out loud. Later that night, after Margaret has gone to the guest room and the house is quiet, Tu Diep sits on the back step alone. She does this sometimes. Just 10 minutes. Just the stars and the cool air and the silence. She thinks about the week, Nhai in James's lap on Wednesday. Both of them laughing about the blue jay. Margaret at the kitchen table saying, I owe you an apology. James on his good days, fully present, making her coffee the right way without being asked. She thinks about all the things she is holding right now. The worry, the grief that has not fully arrived yet, but is sitting in the next room waiting. The paperwork, the doctor appointments, the mornings she keeps her face very calm. She thinks about the letter in the folder, the last page of the Remember book, the rubber band knight kept from the cover and wears on her wrist now like a bracelet. She thinks, I did not expect this life, not this specific version of it. But here it is, and it is still, somehow, in all the ways that matter. Beautiful. Here's what I want to leave you with tonight. Hard things and beautiful things are not opposites. They live in the same house. They sit at the same table. Sometimes they show up on the same Wednesday afternoon, in the same living room, in the same laugh, between a father and his daughter over a badly mannered blue jay. Tu Diep is carrying a lot right now, more than most people will ever know. But she is also living a life full of people who love her, a daughter who pays attention every single day, a mother-in-law who finally said I'm sorry and meant it, a husband who, on the good days, still looks at her across a room the way he always has. That is not nothing. That is not a small thing. That is, if you ask me, everything. What happened in this episode? Nye started a quiet daily ritual, coming home from school and checking in on her father before anything else, just to make sure he knew she was there, just to see where he was that day. On one ordinary Wednesday, she climbed into James's lap, looked him in the eye, and asked, "Dad, do you know who I am today?" He did, and they spent the next few minutes laughing about a blue jay with bad manners. Tu Diep watched from the doorway and filed it away carefully. That same week, Margaret came to visit, and for the first time, she said what she had been holding for a long time. "I owe you an apology." Tu Diep accepted it not with anger, but with grace. And at the end of it all, Tu Diep sat alone on the back step, looked up at the stars, and thought, "I did not expect this life, but it is still beautiful. Paying attention is a form of love. You do not need the right words. You do not need a grand gesture. You just need to show up. Every single day, put your hand on someone's arm. Let them know you are home." A child figured that out before most adults ever do. And if an 8-year-old can do it, so can we. Take care of each other, everyone, and thank you for watching.